Namaste. I welcome you all to the 65th session of GURUBODHA. We have with us Dr. M.B. Gururaja sir and Dr. Raghuram sir. I dedicate this and all of my works at the holy feet of Dr. A. Chandrasekhar Udupa. These GURUBODHA sessions are made exclusively available for Easy Ayurveda weekly classes subscribers. If you haven't yet, please go to easyayurveda.com/video-classes. Today's session is on the Nasya Karma. So the question was, can you please explain in detail the timings on Nasya Karma? Can we do the Nasya Karma for healthy persons on a daily basis where the sky is clear and devoid of clouds? Why cloud? What is the relationship between clouds and Nasya, which is just putting herbal oil or drops into the nose?
So let me break down this question. An interesting question as well. The timings of Nasya, generally as a part of Panchakarma therapy, so we conduct Nasya in the morning times. In Vata Rogas, sometimes it is also done in the evening times also. Preferably, as a general rule and a general principle, it is carried on in the morning session. Early morning session we can consider it as. So as a part of Panchakarma. As a part of Dinacharya, Pratimarsha Nasya can be done almost daily. Every day it can be done. In healthy people, it can be done. So when we are doing it as a part of Panchakarma, Shirovirechana or Nasya, it will be more over therapeutic in role rather than preventive in role. So after the main disease has gone, for example, for what we are doing Nasya or a Shirovirechana as a part of Panchakarma procedure. Nasahi Shirasodwaram, it is said in Ayurveda. So the nose forms the gateway or the passageway for the head, senses and everything. A Shira is said to be the Uttama Indriya. So that is the best organ in the body is our head, and almost all when we go through the Shiras and also the description of Shiras, why it is called as Uttamanga, we come to know that many faculties are there. So like many sense organs and many senses, motor functions, everything all discharges, our emotions and everything is controlled by the brain, the central nervous system, the nerve fibers coming from there. The electrical circuit of our system comes from right at the top. Human body is said to be an inverted tree wherein the branches are pointing downwards, the trunk, that is chest and abdomen in the center, and the root is right at the top. So that is at the head from where we operate. So just like a tree will have its root right at the bottom, we have it right at the top. And so considering it as root, it needs to be nurtured very regularly. So it needs water, it needs fertilizers, it needs sunlight, it needs so many things, and a fertile soil and so many things to keep it under balance. So we have many procedures to keep that head in a cool and composed way, functioning, going along and monitoring the different functions. And Nasa is considered as, the nose is considered as the Shirasodwaram. So many scientific studies have been done about that. Whether the medicine put into the nose is going to reach the brain level or brain matrix or not. That is a difficult concept to discuss here, but it is considered to be a Shirasodwaram, the door for the gateway or the passageway for the head. So in a way, when we are doing Panchakarma and the therapeutic procedures, different oils we are using, we are addressing so many issues there in the head and neck, Jatrurdha Vikarasana. We call it as above the level of our collarbone. And not only for that, many conditions of the nose, ear, and also the eye conditions. So we do Nasya. So it is also done in pigmentation disorders like Vyanga and other things, some pigmentation disorders of the face, cervical spondylosis, shoulder pain, and so many other conditions, brachial neuralgia, Vishwati and Apabahuka, we have conditions. Many painful conditions, non-painful conditions, conditions like nasal congestion, sinusitis, so many conditions we are doing the Nasya. We are choosing, and the Nasya is also of different varieties. The question is not pertaining to that. So it may be in the form of oil, it may be in the form of a powder, it may be in the form of smoke and fumigation. So many procedures are there. So Ayurveda has explained the Nasya as a therapeutic measure, number one, and also which includes the curative and also the preventive measures, and as a diurnal process or a daily ritual which can be done on a daily basis, like Pratimarsha Nasya. So almost every day, a couple of drops of Nasya can be put into the nostril. So the beauty of Ayurveda is Ayurveda goes to that particular level to tell that even when we are doing it daily, at what different timings we have to do. That has also been explained by our masters. So in a particular day, we can do it more than 5 to 6 times, Pratimarsha Nasya. So that is the thing. So since it is a Shirasodwara, we need our head in a cool and composed way, in a balanced way. So to start the day with the Nasya, it's not a harm as a part of the Dinacharya. So again, coming to this split, so I think I have given the intro to this particular question. So the question is that timings of Nasya Karma. Yes, generally, as I said, as the preventive and curative part of Panchakarma, we do it in the morning or in the evening for Vata Vikaras, and as a part of Dinacharya, it can be done many times in a day. So once again, eligibility and non-eligibility criteria is very important. Arha and Anarha, Ayurveda has explained about the eligibility and the non-eligibility for all the Panchakarma measures, including the Nasya, Ashira Virechana, who can take these therapies and who should not be taking those things, and in what conditions it should be done, and what not. So every procedure will have a Purva Karma, Pradhana Karma, Paschat Karma. So that is a preparation before doing the treatment. Among that comes to judge the day, proper day, and also the timing of doing the Nasya in the Purva Karma, that is in the preparation itself. I am mentioning this because there is a question related to this Nasya, like can we do Nasya Karma for healthy persons on a day when the sky is clear, devoid of clouds? Yes, absolutely. The Durdina, that is a day which is covered by clouds, is said to be a contraindication for doing the Nasya. In some conditions it is done because the procedure has been started and one cloudy day the doctors are carrying it out, the procedures, and some people might not have noticed the difference at all. So here we tell that as a practice on almost every day doing it on a cloudy, maybe one day it may not show the effect, but definitely the cloudy conditions indicate the imbalance of kapha and ama in the system. So when there is a cloudy environment, so the kapha will be in a rise, so the ama will be in a rise. In that particular condition, the taila or the Gritha, which we are using it as Nasya. So on a cloudy day, we can do a Churda Nasya, that is permissible. A Dhuma Nasya can be carried over. A Ksheera Dhooma can be carried over. Okay, so all these things can be done, but the Taila Nasya and Gritha Nasya, so it is better to avoid on these conditions, not to take a chance. Some people may not find a difference, as I said. I've seen some of my colleagues continue doing the Nasya even on a cloudy day. So like we take in Bangalore, most of the days will be cloudy and Nasya. So the person has to take Nasya and rush to the office, given a morning slot because they have to go to the office. So as a procedure, it is carried. Patient will not know, doctor will not tell. So if the complication comes, then only it will be noticed and the doctors know how to manage. But to be on the safer side, better not to do on a cloudy day. So it may exacerbate the congestion and the blocks if it is done on a cloudy day. So it can be done in a healthy people, and even in a diseased condition. When we are doing Panchakarma, we need to take care about this. Even in healthy conditions, if we are doing Pratimarsha Nasya, it is better to tell the patient if it is extremely cloudy and if it is raining, you can discontinue on that particular day. So that thing, and the hot measures like to keep up the balance, the heat, like take hot water and all those things, hot food, so less sunkast food, less fatty food. Those things can be suggested on those particular day also. Like Ubhayataha Snehana is also contraindicated, like when we do Nasya, from the other route, the Sneha should not be given. So like oral consumption of Gritha or Taila or through the enema, it should not be given. So administration of the fats in double direction is also contraindicated in this particular instance. As I said, when we go through a proper procedure like Panchakarma, a Purva Karma, the preparation of the patient, where many things need to be seen, the preparedness of the patient, whether the person is fit to take the treatment or not, the conditions of the day, cloudy conditions, and every day the health needs to be checked, general health, and the preparedness of the patient needs to be checked, whether the patient has taken food or not, or empty stomach, because there are so many rules and regulations for the preparation. And while doing the procedure also, it needs to be done in a procedural way, that is like Abhyanga, Swedana, and then Nasya. So if these things are carried on in a good way, it is good. In Pratimarsha, directly the person is using the Nasya, 2 to 3 drops in each nostril. So even on that day, if somebody can help out, or the person can give a local massage to the face, take the steam and then take the Nasya. If it is not a Durdina, not covered by cloud, well and good, so welcome. Paschat Karma is very important. On the follow-up, the person needs to follow certain procedures, like immediately after doing Nasya, taking cold foods, cold items, and all those things will be contraindicated for a certain period of time. And so the hot water gargle and also many other procedures which come in the Paschat Karma also need to be followed. A proper dietetic regimen needs to be followed, and a lot of the rules and regulations need to be followed. So mainly a saintly life is mandatory to have the best benefits of any of the Panchakarma procedures. Regarding, I think on the split of the question, I think I have answered most of part.
Sir, Gururaja, what are the commonly used for the Nasya medicines and the logic when you go for Nasya and when you...
Basically, there are two occasions where Nasya can be done. One is for a healthy person to maintain his health as a routine procedure, or maybe dinacharya, something like that, or a seasonal cleansing, something like that. The other one is in a disease condition. Definitely, when there is a climatic condition which is not supporting, and it is a cloudy day or a rainy day, definitely I don't take the things to thing, because usually if you on the cloudy day or a rainy day, if you do Nasya karma, we're using an oil or anything like that of a lipid based material, then it tend to increase the secretions in the nose, and thereby the patient will have some other complications related to that. So that's why usually I avoid it. And if a patient is in a, for a health purposes, in order to maintain the health and all those purposes, if he is going for Nasya, then definitely a rainy season or a cloudy day is not a right type of timing for doing these procedures. Moreover, if it is a rainy day, if you do definitely needs to do it, then there are different methods of doing it, because we can't go with the regular oil based or a ghee based something into the nostrils. We can go for the Dhuma Nasya, or we can go for the powder Nasya, that is Pradhama Nasya, something like that. We can use it depending upon the condition. We can use it, but of course Pradhama Nasya is a little bit tougher, and it is not so appreciated by the patient because it's irritating many a time. And of course we know that Nasya is of basically two types, Shamana Nasya and Shodhan Nasya. So definitely Shodhan Nasyas will make you to secrete more and more and to clear the tracks. Shamana Nasya will give you something like that, because something like Pratimarsha Nasya is a Shamana Nasya which can be done on an everyday basis, particularly in the winter season where the nose becomes stuffy. And many a times I have observed, we used to put 1 or 2 drops of Anutaila into the nostrils, then definitely it will going to support us, because that oil, based on the oil, there will be no evaporation of moisture or something like that because of the cold. So such type of things won't happen, or even the tightness won't occur in the nostrils and the mucous membranes. So that type of basic understanding it's to be done. Otherwise, usually I go for Anutaila Nasya and Shadbindu Taila Nasya, and very rarely I go for Nimba Taila Nasya in Khalitya and Palitya and such type of things. And otherwise, Dhanvantram 101 and Ksheera or Neurocare, that type of things in Vataja Rogas, and particularly with Pakshaghata and Ardita and these conditions.
Yeah, important recipes added there by our Gururaja sir. So one more thing I wanted to add is Kunkumadi Taila Nasyam for some pigmentation disorders on the face, and also for the beautification, giving an abhyanga with the Ishtimadu Taila or Ksheera Taila. So later we can go with the fermentation like Swedana, and maybe a Ksheera Dhooma like Ishtimadu Churna boiled with milk. Its steaming is given to the face, and then we can go with the Kunkumadi Taila Nasya. And I also prefer doing Kunkumadi Taila Nasya after a Shadbindu Taila or Anu Taila Nasya, one course, give a certain gap and give, so that the nasal passages will be cleared, and later Kunkumadi Taila acts in a better way in these particular conditions. Mahamasha Taila is another one, or Bruhat Masha Taila. So that is one thing which is really good in cervical spondylosis and other Vata rogas. So as Gururaja sir said, Dhanvantram 101, Ksheera 101, Anu Taila and Shadbindu are always best and praised medicines. So always should be there in a cabinet of a doctor practicing Panchakarma, be it preventive or curative.
Thank you, sir. There's a question like in extremely cold countries where the winter spans for like 78 months in a year. For those people who live in a cloudy and rainy climate, can we not do the Nasya at all? Like I live in Seattle, USA, and it is mostly cloudy and rainy for 78 months in a year. Is that a procedure in this case contraindicated? Disease demands maybe a little bit more of Swedana can be done, or some sort of an adjustment. Maybe Dhoomapana is done post Nasya so that there is no kapha increase chances. So any such adjustments can be done. Raghuram sir, first please.
Can be on experimental basis we are doing so many things that can also be tried, like doing the Nasya if it is really mandatory, and as you said, if the disease demands things to be done, but still they are not explained in the Shastra. If we go strictly abide by the Shastra, and if we are following the principles, wait. So if the climate is not good, wait for the climate to open up. Until then, there are many other procedures. The same conditions which can be treated using Nasya can also be treated by giving Shamana Aushadas, like oral medications in the form of kashayams, tablets, churnas, there are there. So during the rainy season, we will follow those things and have the disease under balance. And then when the climate opens up, when it is favorable, so we'll wait like an opportunist and then attack the disease during that period. Any disease will have two stages, like mainly a vega avastha and avega avastha. So like a time period where it exhibits all its symptoms and a silent period where it is not exhibiting the symptoms. So when the let us consider in the places like Seattle, what you mentioned in USA, there is some cold and congestion related problem. We will try to balance it with using some Dhuma, some steaming, and some oral medications, kashayam, and also tablet, churna, and everything during the rainy season or during the cloudy season. When the symptoms are there, we will go with an aggressive approach. When the season will open up and when it is little bit sunny, so the symptoms also will come down. That we call it as avega avastha. It is a silent period where the disease goes dormant or gets hidden. During that period, we will attack. So it is always better to attack in the dormant period or the period wherein the disease is silent. So that will also act as a double shot. It will prepare the system to tolerate the disease better. So we cannot tell it will the disease will be cured in the next season, but the person may have a better tolerance. If it is done in the next season, the person may also, we can tell it as just ward of those symptoms, can come away from the symptoms. So gradually, if we can do this, and as you said, subject to the changes. If it is really mandatory and if there is no other procedure at all available, no medicines, nothing is available, we have to do Nasya, then we can do it on an experimental basis. What will be the results of those things? We don't know. If it clicks, it clicks. If it doesn't, then we need to have a plan B to monitor small complications coming out of the treatment. Why simply use complications through the treatment? So always play safe.
Thank you, Raghuram sir. And Gururaja sir, please.
See, particularly in the places like Seattle in USA and those climatic zones where almost 6 to 8 months will be covered with snow or cold or breezy or even such a rainy day. Definitely, when we are living in such a condition, Nasya can be done. But we need to take certain measures to counter it. For example, what Acharyas have said, it's very typically to the condition like a place in India. It is adjusted to. But where the people living in Seattle and such type of atmosphere, I mean that type of climatic conditions, where the houses are so designed, they are very typically meant and the temperature is inside the house is completely very normal. You walk simple with regular dresses. Only they need those extra dresses or protection from the winter cold only when they come outside the house. So in this situation, if the season is in that fashion, no problem. Make the patient to stay inside the house. You do the treatment and ask the patient to stay there inside the house. No need to go out. If we block that is exposure to the outside winter, protecting him from the outside winter, then definitely we can do the therapies as usual, as good as possible in any other season.
That's a good point because in most of the Western countries, because of extreme cold, they will be having like warmers at the home. That any type of Nasya is good for arthritis or knee pain. Usually, type of therapy largely chosen based on the organ affected. If there are any, for example, locked jaw or jaw or joints of the skull and the facial bones, if they are affected, then maybe with arthritis or with some other condition, then Nasya would make sense. But because knee is a distant organ, Nasya might not be directly having effect on it. Gururaja sir, please.
Definitely, you rightly pointed out temporomandibular joint arthritis or any arthritis of the thing or even cervical spondylitis, it's also comes under it is a type of thing. Though all those arthritic conditions can be used by Nasya. I mean, Nasya can be an option, but definitely not for the knee pain. The osteoarthritis of the knee or the even rheumatoid arthritis of the knee, I don't think it is going to help anyway. It may be useful in case of cervical spondylitis and even any temporomandibular joint related issues and such other bone issues of the Uttamanga are above the clavicle, because there are certain areas where a particular therapy acts. Nasya is such a therapy which acts very beautifully in those areas. So I don't think so for a knee pain we need to go for any Nasya therapy.
Thank you, sir. And also, like if for some reason they plan for Nasya and happened in a cloudy day, and then there are side effects like blockage of nose, heaviness in the head and neck, maybe in some cases like pratishay or runny nose. what can be done so that the symptoms can be controlled, Raghuram sir? Because the patient gets it done in the morning and he needs to go to office. He has runny nose.
So when Nasya is done with oil and ghee or no oil or ghee, obviously the kapha symptoms are definitely going to increase. Like if there may be a congestion, there may be overflow, discharges from the nose. These conditions can happen. So the hot remedies will be the best ones. So anti-kapha remedies can be done. So like just give a steaming and try to clear off the congestion, or if possible give Haridra Dhooma, like Dhooma can be given. Haridra is the best one to ward off that particular condition. And give some hot beverages like Panchakola Fanta, Trikatu Churna, these can be given. So Dashamula Kadutraya Kashayam also can be given to bring down the condition. So anything which is used in Pratishaya, Kasa, Shwasa, Chikitsa can be used for a short-term basis, give a gap of 2-3 days, and if it is really needed, restart the treatment. So that can be done if there are emergencies or any complications due to Nasya. And for the whole day, the person should be asked to take sips of hot water or hot beverages which is prepared with the shunti, like shunti siddha jala or jiraka siddha jala. So water processed with cumin seeds or ginger, or maybe panchakola powder. So that can be taken throughout the day. So gradually the cold will come down, the congestion will come down, the nasal passages will open, and the person will start breathing better, and the lightness will be felt at the end of the day. And no oily foods throughout the day. So like the person can go on a very simple bland diet. These suggestions can be given to the patient. Easy digestible foods, and don't expose to the cold conditions. So keep yourself warm even when you are going out. So these things, don't get exposed to the dust and other things. Take as much precaution as possible.
Thank you, sir. Guru sir, if you have any points.
Definitely, for this condition, we have a better procedure. That's what we usually do it after the Vamana Karma. Once the Vamana is, all the things are done, and the lays, what is called as a Shesha Dosha Nishya Nirharanartha. Once we will do that, that is called Dhoomapana. So here in this case, we can go for definitely for the Varti, which is typically as mentioned by Dr. Raghuram regarding that Haridra. And in my practice, I have observed that with Haridra, if it is given with Guggulu, I usually make a Varti of my own with Haridra, Twak and Guggulu. With that combination, we'll make something like a cigar, and we make them to burn, and that make the patient to inhale that smoke. Then that will going to clear the throat as well as the nasal congestions, and everything will be settled down. And make it a habit that if you are doing it on a cloudy day, unnecessarily don't need to wait its Vyapat to happen. So definitely as a post nasal or Nasya Karma, better go for a Dhumravarti, Dhoomapana for a one short course, then allow the patient to go out.
That's a good strategy that, anticipate the side effect and act so that complications are very minimal. There's a question, Raghuram sir, regarding Dhuma Nasya versus Dhoomapana. Can you please explain that, pleit for us? And what are the Dhuma Nasya choices?
Dhuma Nasya choices are, the Dhuma Nasya can be a Ruksha Nasya or it may be a wet Nasya also. Like it may be a dry or wet conditions depending on that. There is one important Dhuma Nasya which we can do is Ksheera Dhooma. So that is also can be taken as a Dhooma as well as it is not a Nasya actually, it is a Ksheera Dhooma. So like the milk is boiled with powders like Ishtimadu, Dashamula, and its inhalation is given. So that is used for respiratory conditions and also some congestions and other conditions. So here Dhoomapana is having different benefits in comparison to the Dhuma Nasyas, as you have already indicated. Some benefits are similar for Dhuma Nasya and Dhoomapana. Dhuma Nasya is generally taken through the nostrils. Dhoomapana is taken through the mouth. Okay, so as Gururaja sir rightly pointed out, after the Vamana Karma, what we are doing is not Dhuma Nasya, it is Dhoomapana. So that also helps in mainly helps in clearing the throat and also the lung field and also the earlier branches of the respiratory system. So till there, it will be very effective. So we can prefer Dhuma Nasya there, but Dhoomapana is an ideal choice. Dhuma Nasya, already the person is having a Vamana, post-Vamana. In the post-Vamana condition, the person is already there. So what we need to do in that particular condition is the residual Shesha Dosha Nirharana, that's all. So it is not the majority of the kapha has been removed already by Vamana. So whatever is residue, whatever is sticking in the passages, that needs to be, the Shesha dosha needs to be removed. It doesn't mean that the Vamana has not acted properly. In spite of a Samyak Vanta Lakshana, in spite of giving a proper Vamana and the proper symptoms have been found out, there may be some, so like the throat clearance or some congestion, the person may still be feeling some heaviness. In those conditions, we can go with the Dhoomapana. So Dhoomapana is not carried out as a very regular procedure. So wherever there is a kapha ama conditions, we can go with the Dhumrapana. And Dhuma Nasya is a similar condition which is administered predominantly through the nasal passages, probably for the nasal conditions, Vata and Kapha conditions in the Jatrurga Pradesha, and also in the Uttamanga, that is head, cervical conditions, that is some nasal conditions. Vata, Kapha or Kapha Vrutta Vata conditions, we can go with the Dhumanasya. So that is the thing I wanted to tell. When we go through the indications, I think if we can draw a line and put the conditions of Dhumanasya on one side and the Dhumapana on one side, so we may find gross differences between those things. The procedure also differs. Okay, so again, in Dhumrapana also a lot of other indications have been done by our acharyas, how the Dhumapana should be taken, through the nose or through the mouth. If it is taken from the mouth, from where it should be left. Okay, so for that we need to discuss the entire class of Dhumapana and Dhumanasya. So for time being, these are the two different conditions. And having said that, I don't practice a lot of Dhumrapana or Dhumranasya. Okay, so because I don't have a facility of practicing Panchakarma, I may refer patients with the indication. I'll be in conversation with the doctors, whomever I refer. So I may indicate what needs to be done. Okay, so I don't practice it in my clinic, or I don't have the facility to practice these things. Dhuma Nasya, Ksheera Dhuma I have indicated for the people, even in asthma or post-asthma conditions, like the person is in the recovery phase of asthma. In that particular condition, a Dhuma, Ksheera Dhuma has immensely helped for those persons. So different conditions, different strategies, different method of applications, and different therapeutic uses we have for these two conditions. So depending on the condition, we need to use. And Dhuma Nasya, see, Dhumrapana almost always induces that what we can call it as Rukshata and Laguta. Okay, by removing that stagnant kapha and also the ama and clearing the passages, and that wetness and dampness is removed by Dhumrapana. Dhumra Nasya can be in the form of Dhuma, so it's generally in a wet condition, so that it essentially need not, it can create more moistness than creating a what we can call it as dryness. Now I'll give two examples before I finish. Haridra Dhuma, as I said, olden days, even my grandma used to do when there is cold and congestion, immediately a pinch of turmeric used to be taken powder, put on cotton, and the cotton is lit with the fire, and she used to ask us to take a big blanket or a towel, put it over the head and inhale its fumes. So this is also a Dhuma. We are taking Dhuma that instantly causes dryness in the nose, dryness in the throat, dryness in the respiratory cavity. Suddenly that dampness and wetness starts come down. There is running nose, but immediately we can find that the nose is getting clear, the congestion is getting clear, immediate relief is there. So here it is moreover creating a dryness. I'm not speaking about Dhumapana. Here also it is a Dhuma only. Dhuma Nasya, it is Dhuma which is going through the Nasa Marga. And second example was I gave about the Ksheera Dhuma, a hot water steaming what we give, it is in a wet condition. So generally that also will help in dissolving the secretions and also bringing them out. It may not be effective in inducing that dryness as much as and lightness as much as Haridra does, the hot water. And when we go to the Ksheera Dhuma, it has a different effect. It is also going through the nose only. The person is, everything is done in the form of inhalation only, but the therapeutic effects are totally different. So in Ksheera Dhuma, the person can feel even more relaxed and also more relieved, and also more, and it's moreover like a nourishing type of Dhuma Nasya. And when I said about Haridra Dhuma, many people definitely cannot tolerate. So because immediately there is irritation of the nose that needs to be done. Once I used to teach some US students here in Bangalore, so who had come here, they asked about a similar question. So 2-3 students are feeling cold and congestion due to the climatic conditions in Bangalore. They asked whether we can take Nasya, whether you can demonstrate on us. I thought it is best to go with a Haridra Dhuma. So 2 students found it extremely excited. So like immediately the congestion, wow, this acts like an emergency medicine, they said. So it acts like a steroid, they said. It was so refreshing, so light. And on the other side, one girl found it very difficult. She said she had irritation. She did not have sleep. She had some strange feeling the day it was done, though the congestion was relieved. So immediately she gave a phone call to me. So I asked her, do these things, put a little bit of ghee in your nose, and then so just apply it, or take some hot water, some hot beverage. So some food, customized food, I have advised her to take. So the symptoms came down, but she felt a little bit irritated. So it also depends on the tolerance of the person for particular medication.
By and large, Dhuma Nasya in a way is very similar to Dhoomapana.
In a way, yes. Though the names are different. See, I feel when the names are different, the procedures are different. So they will be having different procedures. There are different procedures, and their utility will be different. But ultimately, we should see where the goal, where it is reaching, the destination of the treatments. As you said, so by and large, as you said, we can consider them as similar therapies, having slightly different therapeutic roles or different methods of administration, but the destination will be almost same.
And also probably, in the Apamarga Tandulya Adhyaya of Charaka, he gives herbs useful for Shirovirechana. So these are probably, if they are used in a certain way, then probably they can be considered as Nasya. Whereas in the Dhoomapana section of Astanga Hridayam, there is a different set of ingredients that are explained. Probably the Dhoomapana and Dhooma Nasya are differentiated, the choice of herbs that are given in different situations.
Absolutely. Again, you can see there whatever you have mentioned there. So Dhuma Dravani, Mrudu, Shamana, Tikshna, that's what I was telling. It's not universal that I use Haridra to everybody, Pipali to everybody, or Aguru or Musta, whatever is there, to everybody. So I think it is moreover customized. We will learn it with practice. We may go wrong. Every time we may go wrong, but we will learn certain things, come back to the basics, and try to find out some other better options if they really work out or not. So by and large, as you said, the Dhoomapana, Pana is essentially unless it is a Nasapana specifically. Nasapana is something which is taken through the nose, and again it goes to, so anything which is Pana, which it goes through the oral route only. Anything which is Nasya first goes through the nasal route only. That is the basic difference between the terminologies. And Dhuma Nasya probably is whether it is Mrudu, Tikshna or Madhyama, whatever dravyas we are using. So probably it is used for this congestion. As I said, see, different type of Nasyas. Among them, if we consider Dhuma Nasya and Taila Nasya or Gritha Nasya on one side, Sneha Nasya or Snigdha Nasya on one side. So they are like antagonists to each other. A complication which is created by the Sneha Nasya, like already we dealt with that particular question. If there are some small complications after using the Taila Nasya or the Gritha Nasya, what to do? The remedy may be the Dhuma Nasya. Now, excess of Dhuma Nasya we have given for the congestion and all those things, and the person has developed extreme dryness and irritation of the Indriyas and all those things. As I said, the example of one girl, what is the remedy for that? Immediately switch over to the Sneha Nasya. So that will be the remedy. So there itself, the different formats are given. One is for Vata, another is for Kapha, another is for Vata Kapha. So like this, we can categorize those things and also use one as a remedy for the other, the complications created by the other.
So there's a question on, you mentioned about Nasya with Nimba for hair loss prevention. I think there's a remedy for alopecia areata cases as well. Can you please explain?
Usually it is simple Nimba that is used in a neem oil, used in conditions like baldness. But in particularly alopecia, then we recommend to use the Mahanimba. And in Mahanimba, we don't get it in the market. We need to prepare. It's a combination, or the single Mahanimba also. In the Taila Paka, we need to take it. And most so is that Nimba Taila or Mahanimba Taila, name is so easy to tell, but the therapy is so much irritating, it is not easily tolerable by everybody. It is not a simple or easy method to have a Nimba Taila Nasya because it's highly irritating, and of course it has a very typical smell. But of course, effective wise, it has a very good effect on hair growth, particularly on the scalp.
Sorry, sir. So what could be the logic that it works? Maybe Krimihara action is coming to picture there.
It may be Krimihara to one level. The next level would be it is opening the blocks caused by the kapha. Wherever there is the Roma Kupa has been blocked by the kapha, and that may be stimulating it and opening it up. That may be the reason for that.
Thank you there, sir. And moving on, how Guggulu can be used in Dhoomapana preparation. It's pretty much straightforward in that, because Guggulu acts as a binding agent. That's why even in our Guggulu tablets it's used. Usually in a Guggulu tablet, it is like 50% all other herbs and 50% of Guggulu is used. So similarly, probably here also, it can be used as a binding agent. And also due to the resins, it continues to burn continuously and emits Dhuma in a sustained way. And also it has its own Vatahara action.
Usually, I prepare it in a very typical manner. The Shodhita Guggulu is taken, or sometimes even the raw Guggulu is also taken, and it is pounded in a Karada, that is Kalvayantra. And to that, Haridra as well as Twak Churna are added, and it is continuously pounded to mix well. And then it automatically, because of the pounding, it loses its strength and becomes a resinous material. And this resinous material can be rolled into a Varti. Usually we make in that fashion, and that Varti is being given the light, fire, and it starts burning, and then we make it to emit smoke. So then definitely it will give us a very typically the smelling, aromatic as well as penetrating type of smoke, which clears the throat as well as the nasal tract of the residual all Shesha dosha and all those things. So particularly we do it in case of Vamana patients.
Question to Gururaja sir about this recipe, sir. So as you said, it is used for Dhoomapana. Can we use the same recipe for as Dhooma Nasya also, sir? Like burn it just like we take the Haridra Dhooma, just burn it in some nasal congestion and other things. Ask the patient to inhale that. So other than as Pashat Karma for Vamana.
Definitely we can use it. It's we need to see. That's why we said it is totally based on the yukti of the Vaidya. He needs to understand that what drug, to what extent, in what condition, how it can be utilized. Acharyas have given a very clear idea that this is the condition. See, after the Vamana, there is a Paschat Karma. In that Shesha Dosha Nishin Nirharanartha, we need to go for this. The same thing can be used even in case of the Nasya also, because while taking the Shodhana Nasya also, there will be excessive exudations will come from the nose, and the track becomes sticky and even sometimes clogged. So in that condition, definitely it can be used. Otherwise, in generally also, it can be used for regular basis also to some extent, but we need to control the dosage pattern. That's the only thing which Vaidya should do it.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. So this was this answer from Gururaja sir also clarifies the other question which I was answering. Like, see, this preparation, this recipe Dhoomapana, which has been prepared by using Guggulu and also the Twak and also Haridra is there. So it can be used for two purposes. As the question was asked, what is the difference between Dhoomapana and Varti? So when this is used for Dhoomapana, so after Vamana, so probably it clears the residual kapha and residual doshas and gives that lightness. So it is used as a Paschat Karma. When we are using this as a Dhooma Nasya, we are using it as a Pradhana Karma. So there we are using it in Paschat Karma as Dhoomapana. When we are using it in Dhooma Nasya, this one, so the Dhuma, it can be lit with fire, and that Dhuma can be inhaled through the nostrils as the Pradhana Karma itself. And the target will not be to clear the residual kapha here. It will be, the target will be the main kapha, main congestion, main drava, main kleda to clear it. So here we are using it as a Pradhana Karma. So the same recipe can be used in two different methodologies. So that was a beautiful example and preparation given by Gururaja sir. So it can be according to the yukti, we can use it this way or that way. So depending on we should know the ingredients and whether it can be used in this particular condition or not. So that is very important.
The same Dhooma while preparing, even I add on many occasions, depending upon my requirement, Yavakshara and to some extent sometimes Tankana, and make it a Varti, and that I use it in case of fistula or Nadi Vrana to remove the granulation tissue which is obstructing the path of the healing. And once I use it, the day when it is been placed in the Nadi Vrana, patient will feel a lot of pain. Of course, some pain reliever should be given, but the next day that whole Nadi Vrana will, granulation tissue will be totally disintegrated, and it comes out just like a muddy water or something like that, and it clears the track, and thereby it becomes a fresh wound and heals very properly later on.
Very good strategy there, sir. Same medicines, if you know the purpose and Ravagana points which one to use where it helps. and Yavakshara and Shuddhatangana are doing that Ksharana action and, making it like a fresh wound wherein the healing process can start. And moving quickly on the same topic of Nasya, probably say Nasya day to day. Like, what are the Nasya choices for migraine and depression? Depression, another beautiful thing about Nasya is even in some cases, Grithas can also be used for Nasya. Brahmi Taila, Brahmi Gritha comes to my mind, especially in case of depression. Migraine, even Mahanarana Taila, Dhanvantaram Tailam can also be used. Any specific choices here, sir, please? Gururaja, sir?
Definitely for migraine, we can go for Ksheerabala 101 as well as Dhanvantaram 101. And for depression, as very rightly pointed out, Brahmi Gritha can also be taken. And moreover, there is, if you feel like there is something Shaya or the destruction inside the nasal cavity or even the ENT area or anything like that, then we can go for even for the Mahamasha Taila also. Particularly, but for migraine, my choice will be Dhanvantaram 101 for migraine.
I just was searching for a reference for the Nasya for depression and also many of the Medha or intelligence related disorders. Mahakalyanaka Gritha is also used for Nasya therapy. And so there's a question on, can you please brief out the herbs used for Ksheera Dhuma?
Yeah, so generally, Ksheera Dhuma, I had observed some practitioners of Ayurveda use this. So this was not my recipe. I was not practicing that. I've started advising since I've seen a few results long back. So Ishtimadu Siddha Ksheera is used generally, and also Dashamula Siddha Ksheera, Ishtimadu and Dashamula, and many other people use many other ingredients for Ksheera Dhuma. It is the milk is processed with that, and the person is just like that. So just like we take hot water steaming, so just like that Ishtimadu Ksheera Paka, it can be prepared in the Ksheera Paka or boiled, and until the medicinal ingredients come to the milk, Ksheera Paka should be the best procedure to prepare. So to make sure that the milk has got those properties, and the person is asked to inhale. So it is ideal in those conditions where we cannot go to a vigorous and strong treatment like Vamana in a patient of Shwasa, especially. The person is feeling breathless, and especially we are speaking about the bronchitis condition and also the asthmatic condition, bridge between these two conditions where the patient is anarha. The patient cannot be given these therapies. So these small strategies, I'm not speaking about in a very complicated conditions. The condition is manageable, but these therapies cannot be given. So the person wants to breathe free. This is not the one and the only remedy. So along with that some Vyadhi Pratanika Chikitsa, like the disease specific kashayams and other medicines should be given. The person will start feeling instantly good in terms of breathing once the person starts taking this Dhuma. So I think the other procedure can be gone through this. Yes, as you rightly mentioned, the Balamula. So again, for Vata disorders, like even in Vata Shirashula, the Vata type of headache where there is pain predominance, even in migraine conditions, Ksheera Dhuma can definitely work when it is prepared with Balamula, so Dashamula. So these things are regularly used. All doctors don't practice this, but few doctors are practicing this. But in the conditions which it is indicated, we can consider this as an innovative form of Dhooma itself. So where we use the liquid materials, Kashayam and other things. Instead of that, we are using the base substance as milk instead of kashayam and other things.
And there's a question like, in which conditions Gritha Nasya is recommended?
Absolutely.
Going back to the basics of the Ashtanga Hridaya first chapter, Taila is for Vata and Gritha is for Pitta.
Absolutely.
And there is honey for Kapha mentioned as the primary this one. So mainly for Pitta disorders, and then associated with Vata because the ghee balances Pitta and Vata. But by and large, if it can be done with oil, then oil is preferred. Tailamevata nasyarte nityabhyasena shasyate shirasa shleshma dhamatvat snehaha swasasya na itare. Medicated oil is usually ideal for nasya procedure, especially if it is used for daily. And because the head is a dwelling place for kapha dosha and no fat other than oil can keep it healthy. Also, another hint that they are giving is that, the Taila sesame oil by default, Tila Taila, and it is hot in nature. That helps in keeping the kapha threat away. Whereas in Gritha, there is a small threat of kapha dosha increase. So as an required Medhya action, because Gritha is better Medhya ingredient than Thaila, and wherever the Pitta Pradhana is there, probably there, it makes sense to use Gritha yogas over Thaila yoga. Regarding any more oil choices for Nasya other than Shadbindu in case of graying hair?
I said no, Nimbathaila.
Nimbathaila, yeah. I mean, it is both for...
Yeah, it's for both Kalitya and Palitya.
Yes, sir. Raghuram, sir, please.
Yeah, one more thing I just wanted to clarify because we were speaking about Dhooma, Nasya, and other things. Ksheera Dhooma or hot water vapors, what we are giving, they have to be considered as variants of Bashpa Sweda only. So, but it is going in the form of vapors. That is why we are given the name Dhooma. So they need to be taken as when we take it as Shushka Sweda and Ardhra Sweda, wet form of sudation, like sudation therapy itself, they have to be taken. And yeah, so going to the other parts, so the other things are clear. Dhuma Nasya, the Nasya word is there. It is self-explanatory. Ksheera Dhuma is neither a Nasya nor a Dhoomapana. It is a form of Swedana, but it is acting through the vapors. That is why it is named as Ksheera Dhuma. So because we are using the vapors, but it is not Dhoomapana. Ksheera Dhuma and Dhoomapana are totally different. Dhoomapana, again, it is a procedure which is used as Pashat Karma for Vamana, and even in other therapies as a main therapy itself. Then coming to the Ksheera Dhuma or any procedure which is using the vapors to give the heat which comes from the heat form, it should be taken as the form of Swedana itself.
See, when it comes to the Nasya, by using different type of drugs, if you are using any fumes, like by burning something in the form of Dhuma, if it is taken, it will be more Tikshna in nature and more Ushna in nature and more Ruksha in nature. So where people want to tolerate these things can be shifted upon to that Kshirapaka Vidhi thing, Dhuma, where the Dugdha is added to that. And these things are boiled and the vapors are being passed in the similar manner, then it will be, even though it is Ushna, but it will not be Ruksha to that extent, and it will not be even Tikshna to the extent, and there is some little bit of Saumyata there. And whenever we are using a particular oil, it will be more compared to the earlier to the more snigdha it is. So that is the way we need to understand. But if it is totally the fumes, which is not the vapors of any oil, liquid material, it is when the dry, then it is more ruksha and more tikshna and penetrative in nature. Whereas it is from the milk or in the form of kshirapaka or any two type of different solvent mixed together, then there will be saumyata it will be there, and it will have some sort of cooling nature also a little bit, or snigdhata will come in. But when it comes to the oil, it is totally comparatively, snigdhata will be further increased. So depending upon the requirement, we need to opt for the drug of choice for our conditions.
Regarding Dhoomanasya, heard of use of Madhu. For what condition it is recommended?
Usually we don't use it as a honey. We'll boil it and we don't use it in any of these things. But if anybody is doing, I don't know for what reason, when you make it hot, what the fumes will come, maybe little bit kapha hara in nature. But to achieve that kapha hara nature, we can use better other drugs. Why we want to go for using madhu, I don't know.
Thank you, sir. And there is one more question, probably the last one for today. Is Nasya for health of Vata dosha afflicting the hair, causing hair fall, thinning, etc., dry ends, breaking? Very clearly it's told Nimbathaila Nasya is good, and Shadbindu Thaila is also used for Palitya and Kalitya, so graying and hair fall is covered there also. How to verify if it is not Pitta drying up the hair? Usually the graying of hair is a classical Pitta activity there itself. While the bitterness of Nimba is balancing out the Pitta dosha there. Could be one of the ways it is acting. And what Nasya for Vata or Pitta on those cases has already been discussed, Nimba Thaila and Shadbindu Thaila. So that wraps up today's session. Thank you all. See you in the next session of GURUBODHA.